Hey cats, what's happening? It is a beautiful, beautiful day. First week in January. Oh, it's cold, but it must have gone up above freezing because this morning everything was white with snow. So it looks like it's with the sunshine hitting it. I mean, there's still some snow somewhere along there, but I think the sun melted it off. I'm gonna head in the man cave though, and I got a story for you. It takes me back to my childhood, back to my youth. I think at the time I was probably about 12 years old. We lived in a little rural community in Hinckley, Ohio. It was the home of the return of the buzzards. The turkey vultures would come back to Hinckley, every March, and you'd see the vultures swarm. That was their big claim to fame. But we lived in a very rural area. We lived on an old farm. It used to be a dairy farm. It was the Smith Dairy Farm. And it was owned by the Metro Parks, or it was called the Metropolitan Park District at that time. And the Parks had owned this farm, and there was two houses there. Well, you see in the picture, there was a big bank barn there on the left. There was a tractor barn. There was what we called the chicken coop. There was the two houses, and then garages for each house. So at one time it was quite a facility there, and we lived in the house on the far right. You'll see in the picture there's a driveway that divides the two homes, and that was our driveway. And the family that lived in the house next door to us, the Henry family. Now the father was a retired Marine, ex-Marine. I don't remember what rank he held or what his which war he served in, but he served active duty in a war, and he was a very rough and cut, tough looking dude, very weathered, real hardcore. And he had 4 boys. And we lived right next door to them. They were not friendly people, though. Not in the very least bit. In fact, I don't even remember when it was kind of told to us as kids, but at one point or another, it was just kind of common knowledge that you did not interact with them and you did not step foot in their yard. And this was not mandated by my family or my parents. This was mandated by them. We were not allowed to step on their property. Now, the weird thing was, even if you tried to cut corners and walk through the corner of their yard, it was almost like they were doing guard duty, like they were watching, like their father had the boys watching, because if you stepped into their yard for a moment, they'd be yelling out the window, "Get out of here!" And even the father would yell if he saw us crossing the yard. So it was kind of common knowledge, stay off of their yard. That wasn't their property, it was rental property, but we had kind of designated border lines that you did not cross. One of those border lines was, where our driveway went in. On our side of the driveway where our house was, that was all, open territory for us. But everything on the side of the driveway towards their house was like, you didn't go there. That was like, that was like the border line. Like, you did not go over there. That was a war zone. Well, it was real common that, we would see them out in the backyard with their father, and he would drill them on sports. So he would, either be throwing the football to them or pitching a baseball. You'd hear the baseball slap into their gloves, and he'd be yelling, "Come on, catch that ball! What's the matter with you?" And just cursing at them and things. And that was like an everyday drill that they did out there. He would just take them out there and just drill them with sports. Now, I don't remember any of them ever being, real big, popular quarterbacks or anything on the high school football team, so I don't know how good all his drilling did, but nonetheless, it didn't seem like they lived a very pleasant life to me, because as kids we would go down and play in the creek, and we would climb trees and make rope swings and do all kinds of fun things. But those boys didn't do any of that stuff. I don't know what they did. We would ride motorcycles, do all that. They didn't do any of that stuff. So, I don't know really what their deal was. If there was some kind of abuse going over there or something, I don't know. We never did see the mother, although she was there in some form or another. Just kind of made herself scarce. We never saw her outside or anything. One of the things I'll remember is every evening one of the boys would go out on their back step. And there's this big old black and white long-haired shaggy dog that they called Whitey. Whitey was like blind in one eye. His one eyeball was all white. And but he was a vagabond. This dog would just take off and disappear. So every evening they would come out with a bowl of dog food, and they would stand on the back steps, and they had this chant. They would, "Hey, Whitey, 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 Whitey." And then they'd do it again and again. They'd probably do it about 6 times before the dog showed. And the dog would eventually come trotting out of the woods and up to the bed, and eat its dog food. Now, what's even funnier, that we heard this, like on a daily basis every evening, them out doing this chant. And we had a German Shepherd, and its name was Heidi, and she was a really good, faithful pet of ours, as boys, as we were growing up. But we would go out and call our dog, "Hey, Heidi, Heidi, Heidi." And not trying to make fun of the neighbors, it was just like, well, they're doing it, so I guess I'm going to do it too. But anyways, there was not any kind of play with those boys. We weren't allowed to have any social interactions with them whatsoever. And like I said, that was mostly mandated by them, not us. Well, we were out in the yard with a neighbor boy, one of the other neighbor boys, and we were playing out in the yard one day. And we noticed that 2 of the younger brothers of the Henry boys were in the yard between the 2 homes, which was like no man's land, like you were not allowed to be over there, and they were over there. It just so happened that there was a large buckeye tree. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen an Ohio buckeye, but you usually probably see the brown around little center thing, and they make the chocolate candies on them called Buckeyes. They look like a buckeye, but before they are ripe, they're in a husk, and the husk has a very prickly outer rind to it. And that buckeye tree had been dropping these buckeyes on the ground once they got ripe, and they still had the husk on them, and they were laying all over the ground between the 2 houses there. Probably about the size of a golf ball, maybe a little bigger. But anyway, we're over there playing in the yard, and all of a sudden, here comes a buckeye flying at us. And we look over there, and these 2 kids, these 2 punk neighbor kids, are starting to throw buckeyes at us. So we thought, okay, that's fine. We can do this too. So we started picking up buckeyes and pitching them back at them. Turned into an all-out war. I mean, it was no fun and games. It was a serious battle. They would, you'd get whacked in the arm or something with the buckeye, and those things hurt. They were prickly and they were heavy, and it was like having somebody throw a rock at you or something. Well, I picked up one of those buckeyes, and I wound up. I threw that thing. Wouldn't you know? Boom! It hit the older boy right in the forehead between the eyes. It was a perfect shot. I don't know if I really didn't mean to do that. I wasn't aiming or anything. I was just pitching buckeyes, and it just so happened that hit him right between the eyes. Well, he went down, and he came up bawling and crying. He was not a happy camper, and he ran in the house. Well, that ended the battle right there. I mean, everybody just kind of like, uh-oh. I knew at that moment I was in big trouble. I had just hurt one of their troops, and my mom and dad weren't going to be very happy about that because it was kind of a rift between the two families at that point, and that just kind of made things worse. Like, oh boy, now what are we going to do? Well, I went home kind of sulking into my bedroom thinking I was in big trouble. And sure enough, when my dad got home, there had been a phone call that one of the boys had thrown a Buckeye and hit one of their boys in the head, and he was injured. And they weren't very happy about it. Well, my dad says, well, there's only one solution to this. You need to go over there and apologize because I'm not going to deal with this kind of stuff. We're not going to start a battle with them. You're going to go over there and you're going to set this straight right now. You're going to go over there and apologize to them. No, I can't do that. Are you kidding me? I'm not going over there. Son, you're going over there whether you like it or not. Well, are you going to come with me? No, you're going to go by yourself. You're going to knock on the door and you're going to apologize. And my dad pretty much pushed me out the door. Well, it was in the evening, and I shuffled over there with my head down, and stepped up their back steps there, and I knocked on the back door, and I heard some thumping around. I could hear some voices mumbling in the house there. The back door opened up, and it was the father, the Marine. And he wasn't happy. Yeah, what do you want? I'm sorry for hitting Mike in the head with the Buckeye. And I turned around to go away. He says, whoa, where are you going? Get back up here. Yes, sir. He says, you're not going to tell me that you're sorry. You're going to come in this house and you're going to tell him to his face that you're sorry. Uh-oh. I was so scared at that point I could have crapped myself. But he led me in the house and I walked in, and you went through this like little pantry area, and then you walked into their kitchen. It was kind of a weird kitchen. The walls painted white, but they had taken like crayon or something and drawn like cartoons all over the wall, like free-handed, just odd cartoons and stuff. And there was all four boys in the kitchen. The two older boys were standing up against the kitchen counter there. And they were, at the time, probably high school seniors or of that age. I was like 12 years old, so I was just a little squirt, and I'm like, I was scared to death because none of them looked very happy. And there was a kid that I hit sitting at the dining room table with an ice pack on his forehead. He wasn't happy at all. He said, there he is. Tell him to his face. I walked over to the dining room table. I said, I'm really sorry for hitting you in the head with the Buckeye. I didn't mean to hurt you. It was just supposed to be I don't know, but I'm sorry. And then it was dead silence, and I was standing there. I was probably trembling, I thought I'd never get out of there alive. I thought they'd probably all kill me at that point, but skin me alive, hang me up, butcher me. I don't know what they were going to do, but all those thoughts were going through my head anyways. And the father says, he looks at the boy and he says, well, what are you going to say? And this, okay, thank you. Then the father turned to me and he says, you know what, son? There's not very many boys that have stepped foot in this house other than my sons. And it takes a lot of courage to come up and knock on this door. And it takes a lot of courage to apologize. And we really appreciate that, don't we, boys? And they all, yes, sir. Okay, you can be excused. Phew, I was out the door. Pretty much made it all the way home in one leap. I learned one thing. I didn't want to have to go repeat that ever again, so I kept my distance from those Henry boys. Wasn't long after that they moved out. And I don't know whatever happened to them. I don't ever know where they moved to or whatever became of any of them. I'm sure at this point the mother and father have passed on, but I don't know whatever became of the boys. But aside from that, you know, I still think about them from time to time. I remember each one of their faces, and even though that there was no love between us, I still wonder whatever happened to them. And I don't know. I guess I just have some compassion for them in one way or another. Well, that was my story. You know, after that, we had new neighbors move in, and we got along with them okay. It was not a big deal. We could actually play with those boys, you know, and interact with them. So life was a little better. Well, thanks for watching the video today. As usual, I really appreciate all the support. You can leave your comments down below. Love to read your comments. Hope all of you are well. Moving into this new year, we pray for a better year 2022. Give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Right now, hit the red button and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't hurt. Hit the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you be a part of us, be a part of the team. You know, a lot of you guys, I don't know you personally, but I go through those comments, and some of you guys comment regularly, so it's almost like I know you, even though I've never seen you or met you before. And that's kind of a cool thing. And I know you guys think you know me because you watch all my videos. Hopefully someday we'll be able to meet, shake hands, and do something together. Maybe take a ride on the hogs here. I don't know. Until next time, cats. We'll catch you all later.